Hi there, Jonny here from JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk and welcome to episode 3 of the Studio One from Scratch series. In this episode we will primarily be looking at the song page, which we'll get to in just a minute. But before then, we're going to take a quick look at a part of the start page that I actually forgot to cover in the last video. And it's not massively important to how you work in Studio One, but it's there and it's useful. So we're going to have a look at this section over here. It's commonly referred to as the Newsfeed because that's the tab that it defaults to on this side, although you do have demos and tutorials on this side, which is very, very handy. The Newsfeed is really, really cool. Any kind of important developments with Presonus and Studio One or any other relevant information gets posted here if your computer is connected to the internet. If your computer is not connected to the internet, you're not going to get this updated because it requires the internet to do this. But you get links to all of these articles that might be helpful and news like Studio Live Series 3 Door Mode Beta, the public beta for Control of Studio One, came out January 16th. So that's important news. And then there's this R-Series art contest going on. So if you're any good at art, then you can take a look at this, and you'll find this also on the Presonus website as well. The other tab here is demos and tutorials. This is really, really cool. You've got a whole bunch of demos here and it tells you what it's compatible with. Most of them are just Studio One Artist and Professional. And basically it gives you the whole session for each of these songs, and you get to have a look at how they use the Studio One instruments and how they use the effects and automation and things like that, and EQ, compression settings and that kind of stuff. Helps you get started, helps you take a look at what can be done in Studio One. So that is very cool. Then you've got all of these social media links here, which are, again, very, very useful. One last thing, I don't think I mentioned these. If you click here, check for updates. If there is an update available for Studio One, when you click this, it will say there is an update available, and you can download it and install it at that point. And then you've got this About Studio One, and this is cool. This gives you the credits list and all of that fun stuff. So that's very handy. So now we are going to have a look at the song page, which is where we're going to do all of our recording and all of our editing and all of our mixing prior to getting this ready for this piece that we're going to create, which we're just going to create on the spot, in the moment, live, right here on this video series. I am crazy enough that I would do such a thing. So there are a couple of ways in which you can gain access to the song page. You need to create a new song. It doesn't just open. You need to actually create a new song. You can do that by clicking Create a New Song over here, or you can just hit the song page button over here and the same dialog box opens up. This dialog box is very, very cool because it gives you all these templates that you can use for whatever reason you're going to be recording. So whatever setup you're going to be recording. Are you going to be recording house and techno, or are you going to be recording a band? Are you going to be recording a rock band, vocal and guitar, or just a vocal recording for an audiobook or a podcast? This is very, very cool. You also have templates based on your Presonus audio interface that you may or may not have, and there's a whole bunch of them. There's loads of them. From some of the older devices like the Audiobox USB, all the way through to things like the Quantum, which is a wonderful Thunderbolt device, the Studio 192, Studio Live 16, which is the mixer that I have sat in front of me here. Although I don't use that for my interface, I use the Audiobox USB. And then you have then you can create a whole bunch of templates for your own needs. So I have an empty song one, which is the kind of default empty song one that everybody gets. But I've also created one here for mixing my church's sermons, and I just created that with 3 channels and certain effects that I use every single time. I make sure that they are just there, so I'm just ready to go. And then over here, song title. If you know what that is, you can just put that in here. And then the destination folder for where all of this song is going to get saved. So, for example, you could just write this to your C drive, but you can end up with a situation where your C drive, which is running the operating system, is running Studio One and any other applications that you have open at the same time. But then you're also recording to that drive, so you're writing intensive audio data to that drive, and then because you're going to be playing back what you've just recorded, so you can say you've recorded a guitar track and you want to record the vocal track, well, the playback of the guitar track is going to be streaming from the C drive, and you're going to be writing to it with your vocal track at the same time. And with all of those things going on, you can create a bit of a bottleneck with that one drive. So I don't do that, and I would advise that you don't do that as well. I'd advise that you that your recording and mixing is done on a separate drive. So in my case, I have a D drive. This is my secondary internal drive, and all of my songs get recorded and mixed on that drive. So the audio is being written and streamed from that drive, and that drive is doing nothing else but that. Alright, then you have the sample rate for your song from 44.1 to as high as 192 kilohertz. It could be. Depending upon the audio device you have, then the resolution, I just leave this at 24-bit. I don't even worry about it, but you could have it 16 or 32-bit float. I don't really tend to worry about that too much. Time-based, bars, or seconds, or samples, or frames. Frames is useful for doing anything to picture. Samples, I don't use that. I've not really found a situation where I would need to use it. The 2 that I use most are bars. If I'm recording music, like a song of mine or a song for a client, then it'll be bars. But seconds is also handy if I'm just doing a mixing project. If somebody's already recorded their song and I get their tracks into Studio One, I'll set this on seconds. I don't need it in bars. And to be honest, my artist, if they're going to pick up on a particular thing that they want changed, they're not going to refer to bars, because they're not going to be counting bars. They're going to be looking at a counter, a timer. So they'll want to know, they'll be sending me information on minutes and seconds. So it's just easier to have that set in seconds when I'm doing that. And then you've got stretch audio files to song tempo. Again, I leave this untouched. And then you've got play overlaps. Again, I leave these 2 unchecked. But stretch audio files to song tempo, basically, if you have audio that's recorded at a different tempo, let's say it's recorded at 90 beats a minute, but your song tempo is 120, then if you click this, Studio One will automatically process that audio so that it's to the right tempo. Play overlaps is a little bit more complicated, and I will go over that in another video. So if you know how long your song is, you can set the length there. If you know what your tempo is, you can set this here as well. It defaults to 120, but you can set it to whatever you need it to be. Same with time signature. You can have this 4/4, 3/4, 6/8, 9/8, 12/8, 7/8, whatever it needs to be, 15/8, 16/8. And then here is the information box for whatever template you're using. Alright, so once you've got it all set up, you click OK, and that opens the song page. So here is the meat and veg of this video. We're going to do a very quick whistle-stop tour of the song page, and as we go through the next successive videos, we will go into more details on each thing as we start using them. So basically, as we start getting into getting this piece of music that we're going to do recorded. I will show you what parts of the song page you need to use and how you need to do it so that you can get started on creating your own piece of music as quickly as possible, so you're not having to sit around watching tutorials all day. Okay, so let's quickly go over each of the sections of the screen that you have in front of you. So up here is the toolbar, and you've got the smart pointer here, and you've got a cutting tool, you've got an erasing tool, you've got a painting tool. This is great if you want to, if you're in MIDI editing and you want to add some notes in, you can use that. Or if you're doing automation in the mixing process and you want to do some automation, some volume rides up and down, you can paint those in. You've got a mute tool, which is great if you want to just mute a particular event. You can just select the event and click that. Then you've got the very, very cool bend tool, which is great if you want to stretch or compress a section of audio. You can do that there. Or if you want to listen to just a particular section of the song, you can select that and hover the mouse over that area. Now this is really, really cool. The info view. If you're brand new to Studio One, and this particular series is for those people who are brand new to Studio One or brand new to recording in a digital audio workstation at all, this is going to be perfect for you. If you have this switched on, then basically anything you hover over, it will show you what it is. As you can see here, it tells you what each thing that I'm hovering over does. Okay, which is very cool. And you can read these and be educated as you go. So I would switch that on personally. I'm going to turn it off for right now. Okay, so over here is the, this is where all your channels, your tracks will go, sorry. So when you create a track or you bring a track in from the outside, it will populate all down this section here. And then you've got the inspector over here, which gives you details on each of your tracks. And you can hide that, which is great because it gives you a lot more screen real estate over here for all of your audio events. Over here in this section, we have the browser. Again, the browser is very cool. It's default to open, but you can just click it again and it hides, which again gives you a whole ton of screen real estate. I tend to leave it open. And this gives you access to the Studio One instruments, any effects plugins you have, the native effects plugins from Presonus or any third-party ones that you have. And then loops, organized and categorized by style. This is all the loops that you get with Studio One Professional. I think you get a smaller selection with Studio One Artist. Files, this gives you access to your entire computer system, so your C drives, any other drives that you have connected. Dropbox, which is what I use for getting tracks in and exporting tracks out to clients. That's how I do it. Very, very useful. The cloud, this is very cool. This was kind of new with Studio One 3. Direct access to the Presonus shop. And you just sign into it here at the bottom. If you have a Presonus account, you can go and do that. Then the Presonus Exchange, which is very, very cool. Again, it's something you need to sign into. But when you open that up, in the Exchange, there's a whole bunch of presets and things that other users have created that you can just import and drag them into Studio One and use as you need to. And then, of course, there's a SoundCloud integration if you have a SoundCloud account. So all of a whole bunch of tracks that I have on my SoundCloud are all here. And I can even bring those into Studio One if I want to. And then there's the pool. The pool is extremely cool. This is where all of your audio gets recorded, believe it or not. The events are just a visual representation of what goes on over here. So if I record a vocal track, you see the event populate here, but I can chop it up and do any editing that I want to. and the actual recorded take remains over here in the pool. So if I completely mess this up and decide I want to just start again with the raw audio, I can delete all of this and I can just bring the pool, find the track in the pool, grab it, drag it back in, and everything is fine, because Studio One does editing in a non-destructive capacity. So your audio is always preserved over here unless you do something called bouncing. When you bounce something, it changes that audio altogether. And after that, well, yeah, you're not going to be able to change it back so fast. Okay, so that's the browser side, and that is we call this the edit view, and this is your track view over here. The only things we've not looked at is the mixer. Here is the mixer. Mixer is very, very cool, and you have a whole bunch of different views for the mixer. You have any instruments that you have, such as Mai Tai or Presence or whatever, Contact or anything else will show up here, and you'll be able to turn those off and on as you want, or remove them as you want there. So I'm going to close that because I don't need that. And then you've got inputs, and you can, as you open that up, you can see here, that's me talking there. See, when I stop there, it just drops. So that's me talking. This is my audio box interface. These are the inputs I have available. And then I only have the main outputs available. So if I was to close that and open the outputs, there's nothing else to open. But if I had headphone mixes and that kind of thing, set up Q mixes and that kind of thing for extra monitoring, you'd see all of those open up here. But I don't. And then any external devices, you can see all of those connected there. Probably not relevant for most people. Okay, and I can close all of those, and this little channel list here, I can close that as well and give me as much real estate for all of my audio channels as I need to. Okay, so we're pretty much getting to the business end of this now. We are just about ready to add our first tracks, and we're just going to add one track today. So if I click this plus sign up here, it says count 4, but I'm going to change that to 1, and I'm going to colorize it yellow. I am going to call it Vox because I'm just going to speak, and then it's going to be an audio track because I'm going to be using my microphone to do it, and it's going to be mono, and I'm using the left input of my audio device, and the output is going straight to the main output, and we click OK. Now, as you can see, we have our track up here, and we have our channel in the mixer, and they've both populated automatically, and they are routed to the main as they should be, as I want, and the fader is defaulted to 0 dB, which is fine. And so we are now ready to make our very first recording, and you can do that in a number of ways. You can hit the star key on your numeric keypad on your computer keyboard, and that will get it going, or you can click record here. Okay, now if I hit record and I'm talking, nothing is happening, nothing is recording. Why is that? Simple. The track is not armed and ready for recording. If I click this record button here, now you can see the little yellow metering, and it's metering in the channel as well. But we've got a bit of a delay. I'm just going to fix that by clicking the Z button there. And now we have a little bit of phasing, but let's not worry about that. So if I was to hit the record button now, I'm going to turn this off so we don't get that phasing anymore. If I hit the record button now you can see that I am recording. You can see the wave being created as I talk. And then we can play that back. Now you can see that I am recording. You can see the wave being created as I talk. Now the other cool thing is I accidentally left the pool open. So you could see I made a recording, and you can see that it's stored over here. Very cool. So now I can chop this up and do whatever I want to it. And it's this over here, my actual recording is not going to be affected one little bit. It's very cool. All right, folks, so there we have it. Quick overview of the song page, and as we get into making this happen, this song that we're going to do over the course of these next few videos, again, we're going to keep them short and sweet. This one's a little bit longer because there's quite a lot to get through. But as we go, we will open up things like the effects and the instruments, and I'll show you how all of those work. All right, so until the next video, bye for now.